Welcome to Vegas Circle Podcast with your hosts, Paki and Chris. We are people who are passionate about business, success, and culture, and this is our platform to showcase the people in our city who make it happen. On today's podcast, we're going to dive into the world of being a social media foodie and uncover the culinary gems of Las Vegas. So welcome to the circle. I'm a big fan of this guy, man. So social media, restaurant marketing expert and consultant, Mr. Phil Tzeng, better known as Las Vegas Phil. So, welcome to the circle, my man. Yep.
Thanks for having me, Paki, Chris. Great to meet you guys.
Yeah,
happy
man.
to be on.
So big fan of you, man. You have just exploded, I think, probably over the last, 2 or 3 years or so. Excelled, on the food scene as far as being a food expert and really getting your influencing out there on the market. But we just want to kind of jump right in, man, and just jump in head first. So did you first start off with Yelp? Is that what I was understanding?
I did.
So
way back when my wife and I moved here in 06, 07, I had a swing shift job, so
Okay.
I was looking for places primarily to go for dinner after 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And really, Yelp was the only place that had any reviews at the time. So I started just combing through that, and then I caught the writing bug and started writing reviews myself on places that we went. And then as time went on, I became kind of Yelp famous in a way, and that kind of went on till I discovered Instagram, where I saw the original kind of circle of foodies that were doing it at the time, like Unlocked, Ryu Sauce, Eat Me Las Vegas, Happy Tummy, Savor Sin City, all those guys. So I loved how they were presenting food because they didn't have to present the entire experience. They could just present one dish that they loved or something like that. And that really piqued my interest. And then that's when I started moving towards social media.
And you said you had like the writing bug. So how in-depth were these initial Yelp reviews? Was it something that you kind of evolved and learned how to do a proper review of a food? Or was it something that, just like your gut instinct, or you always have a natural knack for, writing a pretty robust review style?
It kind of developed as time went on. As soon as I became elite, I started seeing how other people were writing too, and I wanted to make it more in-depth, more witty, more funny, things like that. And then back then, the useful, funny, cool buttons were like the number of likes that you would get on Instagram.
Oh, gotcha.
So if you broke like 100, that would be the equivalent of like 1,000 likes on a post.
Got it.
Okay.
So that was like the cred that you would get. So people were invested in what you had to say and things like that. So at my peak, I would draft up a review and then probably revise it 3 or 4 times.
Well, that's pretty intense. I mean, pretty intense process.
Yeah, I took it pretty seriously.
Is Yelp still like a thing? I mean, I still look at Yelp for food in the area, right? But is it still where people will go to? Or you feel like it's mainly Instagram?
I think it's a great place for as a referral to any social media post.
Okay.
A lot of times behind the scenes, you just don't know if the influencer was paid to say this. A lot of people say this is the best, blah blah blah, and things like that. So Google reviews, Yelp is a great place to go. If it's 4 stars or more, then I think it's worth still checking out. I mean, 3 stars is the same as 2 stars, to be honest.
Okay.
And but I think it's a good place to refer to. I mean, after you see a post, and just to make sure, if it's like 1.5 stars, then maybe some money was passed on. Who
Got
knows?
it. And so you're originally from New England, right? You're originally from Boston.
Yep.
Spent some time in New York. So what brought you to Las Vegas?
So I was playing a lot of poker back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
I was kind of cleaning up on Party Poker, Poker Stars, Full Tilt.
Okay.
And I was living in Japan for 2 years. I was playing, these big tournaments at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in Japan.
Okay.
And I had saved up a ton. I thought, now's the time to try my luck at making poker a profession. It didn't work out, but hey, worked out anyway.
Well, especially in the Mecca with Vegas and gambling, that makes sense. Yeah,
Right.
being able to do that. But do you kind of focus just on Las Vegas, or I've seen you hit a lot of the markets like New York and things like that? But is the primary focus to influence or to focus on being an influencer of Vegas, as far as on the restaurant scene?
Sure. My private audience is in Las Vegas, and I do live here the majority of the time.
Okay.
So that is the focus. But wherever I'm traveling to, wherever I go, I will still try to find places that interest me and try to feature restaurants out there. So whether it's Japan or we're going to London and Sweden at the end of May, so I'm going to cover a bunch of places there.
Yeah.
And so even though it says Las Vegas Phil, it could be anywhere. And some of the followers are kind of upset when I am featuring places in other cities, but I mean, that's just my life. Yeah. That's how it is.
Kind of digging that a little bit. How do you identify what locations you are going to? And, how do you pre-plan them? Like, say you're going to London, you already have a selection of restaurants that you're like planning to hit. And, same in Vegas, like if you're trying to do some reviews or highlight something, how do you identify those locations?
So if it's personally interesting for me, that's why I go.
Yeah.
If I have a passion for the menu or it piques my interest, that's why I go. A lot of restaurants do reach out to me and I look over the menu. I'm just like, hey, I wouldn't willfully order this on my own without social media. So why would I post it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of the meter of how I choose when and how I go somewhere.
Is it like we were talking about over the phone, right? Like being an influencer of food, right? Back in the day, everybody looked at it crazy. Like, what are they doing, right? But what do you think are those kind of asterisks or whatever you want to say of people not understanding that you can make a real business out of this, like yourself? But can you kind of share the insights of that?
So I felt like 5 years ago, this was something I would really need to explain step by step. But honestly, if you don't understand it now, if you don't see the success that's going on the strip or off the strip, then you're just living somewhere else.
Yeah. You missed it.
And you completely missed it.
Yeah.
But I really feel like, especially in Vegas, it's still kind of wild, wild west. There are just so many businesses, so many different creators that have come into the space, whether they've moved in to Vegas or blown up just organically in the past couple of years. It's been really fun to see on my end. And I'm always kind of looking for new accounts, ways that people are presenting things differently. It doesn't have to necessarily be food to pique my interest, and kind of reach out to them and see what their whole deal is.
Yeah.
To me now, YouTube long format is really the most exciting thing.
Yeah, I love it.
Especially with food, because pre-pandemic, there were no real Las Vegas locals doing YouTube content in Vegas. I had no idea. It was all like California or like some dude in Toronto that just hammers out things for 2 weeks straight. So, and that to me has been the most exciting thing, and I can't wait to see what's going on. And I'm going to throw my hat into that long format ring as well. Yeah. And see how that goes.
It kind of like, the thing I always think about is, when the food, reviews or food critics, it's very like a subjective experience, right? It's my personal experience in this, environment. And, for me, I always, teeter-totter with the idea, like I hate olives. Right, so no matter what you give me with an olive in it, it's going to be a 1 star.
It sucks, yeah. I can't stand olives either.
So they're looking for guidance. It's like, I'm always going to rate 1 star. How do you like bridge that dynamic a little bit, where you maybe something you don't personally enjoy, but do you still try to give it an objective, interpretation of how it is, or is it you just review how you feel? Like if you don't like it, you don't like it.
That's a good question. So I don't consider myself a food critic, because critic means being critical. And I'm not very negative in any of my posts. If it's an experience that I did enjoy, I will tell the manager straight up, this is what I didn't like and this is why I'm not posting. And unfortunately, that happens more often than I wish it did, because that's a waste of time for them. It's a waste of time for me shooting all this video. And then I finally sit down and eat the food, and the food sucks. And that's, past 6 months, it's probably happened maybe 5 times. And it hurt to tell them, because they're excited I'm there. They're hoping the post will pump up business and things like that. But I got to be real. And as soon as I lose, the audience loses their trust in me, then it's kind of over.
I respect that so much, man. Because you're right. Because you can see when it's forced. You know what I mean? So, but when you don't put any of the content out. Right.
I don't put any of it out.
Smart.
Yeah. But brand deals, as time has gone on, the following has gone bigger, I've had to be more picky about the brands I partner with and things like that. And some of the money that I've seen come and go is kind of hurt, to be honest. But I think in the end, I'll sleep better if I didn't take that deal.
The right way. I get it. Integrity is everything. What do you feel about being in especially like a market like New York? I'm originally from Chicago. Chris is from Detroit area. How do you feel about it? Are you excited about the food scene that's expanding the way that Vegas has? And how do you compare it to like a New York or even a Boston?
It's incredible, to be honest. In such a concentrated area, you can have Carbone to Peter Luger to whatever else is going on out there. And to me, it's the most exciting place for food in the country. Yeah, bar none. New York, a lot of people don't want to drive from Flushing to Hackensack or whatever. And it's just way more of a pain to travel around from spot to spot.
Okay.
LA, I hear the same thing from a lot of the LA foodies. Like if they want to plan a Saturday shoot and want to hit up like 4 places, that's going to take the entire day.
LA's horrible. I lived in LA for a while. It was horrible to drive around. Yeah.
Yeah, we had considered LA
Yeah.
Instead of Vegas, but it was the traffic that kind of.
Yeah.
I can't let
the
you pass
decision
by
maker.
Peter Luger. So I'm actually going to Peter Luger in Brooklyn this week. Right?
Nice.
Do you like it?
I love it. So
Okay. Yeah.
I'm kind of
I gotta
I-
ask that. Just we can sidetrack just for a second. So like, 'cause I
sure.
know
So living in New
yeah.
York City for 10 years, I mean,
Yeah.
Peter Luger was like the place.
100%.
And so I've been there many, many times. And for me, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's nostalgia that's kind of like blinded me to
Yeah.
what's going on, but to like the fact that it's like 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
I don't have to take the J train or anything.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. To me, it's like the Raiders moving to Vegas,
Yeah.
except it's steak.
Yeah.
So I love it. But everyone has not everyone, but there have been a lot of critics, a lot of people who maybe don't understand or haven't been to the New York City restaurant and don't care,
Yeah.
to be honest. So I'm very biased,
Okay.
but I love it. I've been
Okay.
there like 5 times.
And you've
already.
been to the one in Brooklyn, or because I think they have 2 in New York, right? And the one
They
in
have
Vegas.
one in Long Island and one
Okay.
in Brooklyn.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they actually have one in Tokyo as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Because
that. Okay.
Japanese love American steaks.
Okay. Awesome.
But
Okay.
yeah, I think you're going to love it.
Okay.
It's a very different atmosphere, less refined
Okay.
than the Caesar's Palace one.
Okay.
And I'm excited.
Awesome.
I'm excited
Yeah.
you're going to go.
So do these restaurants know that you're going to be going there and visiting with them, or do you just show up randomly? Is there like any prep work that you have to do when you're going to like handle these reviews?
So 80% of the time, it's all set up
Okay.
beforehand.
Okay.
So they know I'm going to come in. That's when I get the behind the scenes in the kitchen, perhaps, or any of like the plating to do the video. Sometimes I just want to go where I want to go. And I mean, if they happen to know I'm there, then great. If not, then that's fine too.
So did it evolve into that where you had to kind of pre-schedule it, or is that something you've always done? Because, you know, one thing you kind of get mixed bag, where some people like the fact that you're there shooting all these videos and you're promoting the restaurant, and other people may not feel comfortable doing that. Like, how have you navigated that a little bit?
So I feel like in order to have put out the best video that I can put out, I need some behind the scenes stuff. So I will usually just ask them, and if they say no, that's fine. A lot of chefs don't want to show their secrets or whatever's going on.
Secret. Yes.
Sometimes they just tell me to cut out certain parts. But for the most part now, everyone kind of understands the deal, and I don't really have to introduce myself or explain my whole deal.
And do they approve it like after you're done, or it's like you're there shooting and then they just see the end product online somewhere?
So if it's like a paid partnership, sometimes the brand will want me to submit a video
Okay. Get a little taste of
Before-
flavor of what you're
before I
doing.
put it out, and they might, like for example, Fleming's Steakhouse. I did a couple things for them, and yeah, they want to review the whole thing at least a couple weeks before I put it out.
Got it.
But for the most part, if I'm a paying customer or if it's just me just dropping in and doing my thing, I don't really consult with them unless it's a paid thing. Yeah.
That makes
Got it.
sense.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So are you eating out like every day, 2-3 days a week, 5 days a week? Like what is your schedule like?
I'm
during the week?
definitely doing at least 5 nights a week.
Okay.
7
I'm
nights,
jealous, by the way, if you do it 5 nights a week.
7 nights is not unheard of.
Okay.
And then when I come home, I get a Sharpie, I write down what's in the leftovers and
Man.
hopefully it gets eaten.
Okay.
A lot of times based on the schedule, if I have like 12 hot dogs I just shot, I'll probably find some homeless people to give it to or something like that.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I try not to waste food at all. It really bothers me. A lot of times I have incoming influencers from other places going to my client spots and they shoot like 30,000 calories and don't eat anything, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know what to do at all
Yeah.
with everything, but I managed to find a way.
And how long does it take you to go through this whole process? I know you mentioned earlier that some people shoot 4 restaurants in a day. Is that kind of what your schedule is like? Like you'll hit 4 in a day just to get the videos?
I don't do that anymore. I mean, they have to be really exceptional places for me to do like 2 or 3 in one day
Okay,
anymore. I think back in the beginning when you were constantly just chasing more and more content, especially if you're starting early on, that's an important thing to do, is try to get as much as possible so you have it later. But dinner's like a calorie car crash now. I mean, to be real, the only minus to this whole lifestyle is, health and trying to balance everything. So, I'm done with 2 dinners a night. I'm done with the 2 lunches, things like that. I mean, I rarely do a lunch shoot and a dinner shoot in the same day anymore.
It's kind of hard because, I feel like when you go to these places and you're reviewing them, you see their menu, they have 50 things on them, 20 things on them. You want to try a taste of all of it because, that's part of the job of reviewing, right?
Right.
So do you limit it to one, I think you touched on a bit, you just focus on one specific meal that you're reviewing versus the restaurant or menu?
So normally if I go to a restaurant, I'd like to feature maybe 2 or 3 dishes because the post is only 30 seconds to a minute long anyway. So that's what I usually like to do. Sometimes the chefs just start bringing stuff out, though.
Because they want you to try it. Yeah,
right.
They want it, yeah.
And then next thing you know, I have 2 shopping bags worth of food.
I guess that get crazy. Yeah.
Right. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's a great problem. Yeah.
But how do you choose, the restaurants that you want to pay for? Is it you're focused on maybe a certain, style of restaurant? Maybe it might be African food, or it might be a food you haven't tried before that you want to kind of spotlight. But how do you kind of navigate that?
Anything that kind of piques my interest.
Okay.
I mean, there's really no system. It's just hey, this sounds amazing.
Okay.
And I think the audience would be into it, so let's do it. Or sometimes it's just, hey, that sounds amazing. I don't even care what anyone else thinks.
Got it.
So I'm just gonna go anyway and spotlight it.
Awesome.
But a lot of times the places I pay for, it's just the day of or a day before, and I don't want to hit anyone up. I'm not hurting for cash. It's fine.
Sure. Yeah.
So I have no problem paying. I have no qualms about that at all for any place I go.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good stuff, man. How do you guys? So did you guys build? You and your wife is Ayumi?
Ayumi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have built also a consulting company, correct?
That's correct.
So do you guys consult with restaurants on what to do better and kind of give them things that you've kind of seen? Is that kind of your strategy too, or
so it's primarily social media management of the restaurant, and then as a bonus, they have me or Ayumi to bounce off ideas for new dishes or what we thought about certain things, that kind of stuff. And right now we have a roster of about 15 great restaurants around town that we manage social media for.
Nice.
And it's been awesome. I can't complain.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And these are personally places that I just have a passion for.
Okay.
And so it just works out spectacularly, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of restaurants do want to work with me, and whether some reason or another, I'm just not interested.
Got it.
There's a fine line between quality of work and quality of living. Yeah. And I feel like I'm right at that line now.
Yeah. I get it. I get it 100%. Yeah. Who's doing your editing? Are you guys doing everything still in-house, or are you guys outsourcing?
So I do the whole thing on the phone. I shoot everything on the phone. I edit on the phone. I do my voiceover on the phone and the captions and everything.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I don't have a real camera. So when
That's
people
smart. Yeah,
when people ask, can you give me the breakdown of your rig so the kitchen's aware? I'm like, it's a handheld light and an iPhone 14, and that's it now. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's organic.
I mean, that
super
works.
Organic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just edit it
on the fly.
On the fly,
yeah. I could do the voiceover in the car as soon as I get out of the restaurant.
I get it.
And it kind of works out that way. So I get off on when people think I have a whole professional rig or things like that. But no, it's from beginning to end, though, from once I get all the shots and everything and go home and put it together, it probably depends on how involved the video is, but less than an hour.
Oh, that's
sure. Oh, that's not bad.
Definitely.
It makes it easier to put a little bit more content. So it's hard if you make it a whole production. It's going to take you hours, and you don't get as much content for your viewership. It makes a lot of sense.
Right. Yeah. And especially in Vegas, I mean, DSLR videos don't really hit on social like the phone does for some reason.
Feels less organic, I feel like, because if you're there, I just assume you're there eating food. Versus a production, it feels like it's forced placement.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And you keep a list of all the restaurants you've been to. Is there what's your number?
This is the list.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
I don't know how many number of places I've been. I think according to Instagram, I maybe have 2,200 posts. No,
wow.
I don't know.
2,200. Okay.
Let me look.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm curious because I know that's one thing. Because at some point you're going to hit all of them. You have to
forget.
Move.
Yeah, I have 2,600 posts.
2,600.
But I usually remember. Yeah, I rarely forget a place I've been to.
And do you like go to places multiple times, like to make sure, like to try different parts of their menu, like and do different reviews at different times? And how do you like say I went to this place today, and do you have a time frame before you'll go back to that place, or could you hit the same place multiple weeks in a row?
Oh, I never hit the same place multiple weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It's so hard. There's so many choices.
There really
Too much
is.
time. Yeah. It's too many
And
restaurants
for
here.
me to be a regular at a certain restaurant, I would consider me being a regular like if I went 3 times in a year.
Got it.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair for sure.
And so it really just depends on what I feel like doing. And that's the beauty of doing social media and being your own boss is just I can just do whatever I want to do anytime I want to do it. So
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
It's awesome, man. And we want to transition to talk about your podcast too. So you got in the podcast space, Las Vegas Phil's podcast, right?
Yep.
So what is that all about? What's the backing of what you talk about on there and guests and things like that?
Sure. The whole primary base of it is food and social media.
Okay.
So in the beginning, it had to just focus on my friends who have gained such huge followings and had a lot of success, and try to pick their brain on what's been going on and what they see as like the trends of social media and food and things like that.
Yeah.
And so this initially started, I had a network that hired me to do it from home.
Okay.
And we would just do like Zoom-ish
Yep.
type podcasts. And this is when TikTok was exploding and all these new creators like Vegas Starfish and Vegas Know-It-All and Talls and Brandon from Vegas and all these guys were exploding. And I didn't really have a personal relationship with them.
Okay.
So this was a great excuse for me to pick
Invite
their
them.
brain,
Yeah.
just like you guys,
Yep,
you know, and learn all that I can
Yep.
for myself to become a better creator selfishly. I mean, it fronted as a show, but it's really just to help me.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. Yeah. What's been one of the biggest lessons that you've kind of learned from other people, or what you learn now, you know, that you've been able to definitely just.
I mean, honestly, the biggest thing is that you don't know everything and you never will. So why don't you just ask the experts who really know what's going on?
Sure.
And I'm fortunate the social media community in Vegas is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I love that I can just kind of reach out to some of the bigger people and ask, how did you do this? You know, can you kind of talk about why you went this way?
Yeah.
And the most recent posts and things like that.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. It's a small knit. People, I mean, you know, just from being around, we know a lot of the same people, and it's you don't realize you do one person wrong, man. It's just 2 seconds, man. It mess up everything for you. Yeah. So,
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, drama definitely happens, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of ways, especially with social media, I mean, you kind of like create and connect your own dots that aren't even there sometimes. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I mean, it would just be easier just to talk to that person or hammer it out and kind of, you know, let that drama go
Yeah.
away. But
Yeah.
some people just can't.
Just
I
they
don't
love
know
it.
why.
Yeah, it's toxic
Yeah.
area. Yeah. Where do you see social media going, man? I mean, you've been doing it for a while. We've been doing this for a while too. Is like, where do you see it going? Because people either got to do the shock factors, like the Cat Williams of the worlds, and different people that are doing crazy stuff to kind of get the eyes on them. And of course, everybody wants eyes for the content. But where do you see it going the next, few years?
I mean, I think VR is a big space, and it's just going to become bigger and bigger. So I don't know if that's going to be TikTok or another format, but with those Meta Ray-Bans and things like that, this is where it's going. You're going to have like a whole experience where they're just going to watch it on whatever Oculus device they're doing. And so I think that's where it's going to go. People are going to see me eating a gigantic ribeye somewhere and kind of like showing off the bite, I guess. And if they can install smell-o-vision, phenomenal. But
that's crazy.
I feel like that's eventually. I mean, that's where it's headed for sure. I don't know. I mean, AI is becoming more prevalent, especially in food marketing. But I'm not sure how it's going to work. If it's going to be some just random AI character telling you this is good, are people going to believe that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I like seeing people like you. I mean, you want to see the real people that are actually going there and taking you through the experience. You know what I mean? I don't like the AI side of it. I know you probably do. I can't stand it. Yeah. I don't think it's real. Yeah.
I can trust it for a review, but
I know.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I saw some whack thing where some guy did a AI Keith Lee.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I'll show it to you after.
Wow.
And this is dangerous.
Wait a minute, acting like he was Keith Lee?
It
Like
was
AI?
a Keith Lee video.
Oh, wow.
And then they kind of like picked the pieces of his voice to make it sound
damn.
like he was saying something.
That's kind of scary.
And that's kind of
I don't
scary.
Like, yeah,
and,
that's crazy. Yeah.
And I'm kind of worried about that for sure, and credibility and all that kind of stuff. But I guess it'll just kind of figure itself
Scary
out
world.
how it
Yeah.
figures itself out. But AI, VR, I think that's really the future of just not just food marketing, but just social marketing in general. And I don't know. I mean, do you do a lot of VR yourselves?
Oh yeah,
Chris is all over it.
I'm definitely a big fan. I could definitely see myself doing that, watching a review of, you doing a review and seeing it through your eyes, because especially for people coming to Vegas where they don't get to experience it in person, and seeing it in photos isn't the same as watching it through a virtual reality experience. So you could definitely see the reviews going that direction. I feel 100% that's where it's going.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy to see all the people walk into like a hotel with their...
Yeah. Especially with the new Apple glasses coming out, and it's becoming a lot more mainstream now that Apple's getting in on it. They obviously feel strongly about it, so you could see it getting cheaper, more affordable. And I think the hard part now is how do you video record in 3D with the technology that we have. So that's you got to wait for a camera that will essentially start having 3D recorders on it, but that's where you see it going.
Yeah, a couple of people have been fooling around with the Meta Ray-Bans, and the quality looks pretty good, especially in daylight.
Yeah.
But I know it's only like 1 minute clips right now, and battery life is maybe 3 to 5 hours.
Got it. Yeah, that makes it a little more tough.
Pretty interesting. I might wait around to like 2.0, 3.0 and see what I can do with it.
That's amazing.
You could buy those like nice little 3D camera pod things, and they shoot all in 3D. You just set up on your table and just do your business.
It's unreal. It's amazing. Technology just gets better and better.
It
you
really
never know.
does.
It's unreal, man. Well, someone that's big on mentorship, man. I love mentorship and things like that. Who's kind of in your circle that's kind of speaking life into you and kind of helping you kind of drive this consulting company and being a social media expert?
I mean, my circle is the inner circle is literally just one. It's my wife, Ayumi.
Awesome.
And all the butter, all the lobster dunks, all the crab porn, and all that stuff. That's her food styling.
Okay.
And really, she has a better eye for just the overall look and layout of food. And so I rely on her for pretty much everything. I will always say I wouldn't have half the following if it weren't for her,
Awesome.
to be honest.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, the social media community here, especially the food one, is incredible. I'm fortunate to call people like Unlocked and Vegas Starfish and Hooked LV and all these guys friends. And whenever I need help or need advice, they're always there to give me their point of view, and it's been priceless. It's been so valuable to just me and what I've been doing.
That's powerful, yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you want your personal brand to represent? Like, what's that actual brand?
I've never really thought about that because I've just been in the trenches like day in, day out, like you guys or anyone. I think I want people to be able to rely on what I say and trust that this is how I really felt about the restaurant.
I agree.
And if you feel that way too, or if you're inclined to check it out because of my opinion, then thank you. Yeah. And if you didn't like it, then like a lot of other people just DM me and tell me why you didn't like it.
Yeah. But you just want to be organic. I love that. I love that about you is you want to be organic and truthful for kind of your walk. So
for sure.
That's powerful. Yeah. And then for business advice, right? We always are talking about business advice. And what would you share for somebody? I mean, you've transitioned, you've done a lot of different things, right? You've gambled, you did a lot of different pieces, right, of your career. But what would you share for them for business advice if somebody who wants to get into business for themselves or has some type of dream that they want to accomplish?
So I never thought this would ever be a real job.
Yeah.
It was always just I was always so resistant to quit my job to do this, but a powerful moment happened when one of my college friends passed away suddenly, and I was flying back from New York City, and I'm just kind of like, man, I should just do whatever the hell I want to do because if she's gone, we're the same age. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? So I think that's me just getting out of my own head and holding my own self back. And for anyone, that's really where it's at.
Yeah.
If you can somehow break through and get out of your own head, start something, do something, the first step is everything.
Yeah.
And so, and fortunately, look to people who are doing it better than you and constantly and kind of learn from them, whether it's just viewing their stuff or asking them directly, and kind of take it from there. But I mean, yeah, it just has to start somewhere, right? I mean, if you have a full 9 to 5 like I did, and you just post when you get home or things like that. I mean, it's just things to build off of, and hopefully, I mean, something will happen. I don't know,
sure.
But consistency. I think a lot of your guests will say that.
100% consistency is everything.
Yeah, consistency is everything, and there's just this innate drive to do it. I mean, obviously, you guys have been doing this podcast since 2018. There's an innate drive for you to keep going.
I'm John Chris crazy. I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
And so, I mean, people who want to do it, like I get that DM all the time. Hey, I'm thinking about becoming, posting about food and things like that. Well,
do it.
Yeah, just do it, because your 10th video is going to be better than your first. Your 100th video is going to be better than your 10th. And then it's just, keeping at it.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you burn out, then maybe it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. And you enjoy it. It seems like you really enjoy it.
I love it. It beats working. That's usually what I say to everybody.
Yeah.
To have this opportunity to literally eat for a living is just the craziest thing.
That's awesome.
And when I leave Vegas and see my old friends or try to explain it to relatives, it's kind of crazy. That's when I realize, like, what am I doing? Like, what is going on? But since it's day to day and I spend a lot of time with creators, this is just what happens.
That's powerful.
But it's been pretty amazing.
Good stuff, man. And I gotta ask you this: we ask every guest, favorite restaurant in Vegas. And you gotta give us probably at least one or three. But what's your favorite restaurant here?
So here's the thing: like, a lot of the restaurants I go to, I get special treatment, so I don't get the actual customer experience, and that is a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But like places like Momofuku at Cosmopolitan, I love the Asian fusion.
Okay.
They got great private dining rooms, and I love going there with a big group, like 8 to 10 people, and just feasting.
Just vibe out. Yeah.
Yeah, and just have a great time. I love Joel Robuchon. To me, that is like the ultimate in French cuisine, and there's no other.
That's MGM, right?
Yeah.
MGM, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's no other true Joel Robuchon restaurant like that. Like, there's a bunch of L'Ateliers around the country, but, like, that level of cuisine and technique, I mean, you're not going to find that really anywhere else in the West Coast, to be honest.
Awesome.
And then I love Kame. It's the omakase sushi restaurant.
Yeah.
Little
I think Penny
pricey.
mentioned that. I think Penny mentioned that on her.
I actually met Penny. The first time I met Penny was actually at Kame. We were sitting at the bar
Penny's
together.
awesome. Yeah, her whole family's awesome.
Yeah.
Lotus of Sound. Shout out to Penny. Yeah, I think she mentioned that on our episode. Yeah.
I'm sure she did. Yeah, she likes all the baller places too.
Okay.
Not cheap. It's like $500 per person.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the one. Yeah, that's definitely what she been there. Yeah, that's definitely the one she mentioned, because we said, I'm like, damn, I didn't realize I've never been there. And somebody just told us about the one at Fountain Blue.
Yeah, I'm actually going tonight.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Ito.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Laura just went there recently. Yeah, she was excellent. So,
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. But a lot of people that go to Kame, I mean, they're all like high rollers and things like that. I mean, $500 is like the small blind in their poker game. So
that's
kind of crazy.
No, they're expensive, because one of our friends was when I think her husband spent like $1,200-$1,400 just them two. So you'll pay a pretty penny. Yeah. But that's the cool thing about Vegas is you get the high end, and then you get these hole in the walls that are excellent too. And that's what I'm loving about Vegas is you get a wide range of whatever you want now. It's awesome. So
you kind of entered the Olympics of restaurants, to be honest.
For real. Yeah.
And any restaurant that isn't on social media or not doing a consistent work on that is really just falling behind, to be honest.
Yeah.
I did get an email from a recent restaurant that just opened, and they had no social media presence at all. I'm like, well, this is the problem.
Yeah,
like,
you got to be able to. You got to get it out.
Yeah, at the very least, just run Facebook and Yelp ads to get it going. But as far as for cheap places, I mean, I like a lot of budget restaurants as well. Shang Artisan Noodle. I think Colin Fukunaga mentioned Ramen Hashi.
Yeah, Colin's awesome. I love Colin. Yeah.
And other places like Hachi on Jones are all great spots.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. You got some gems, man. You got some gems. You got to tell us how you like the restaurant tonight, too.
For sure.
What else are you focused on for 2024 and in the future?
So my focus is mainly YouTube and long format. I mean, YouTube Shorts has really exploded. It's kind of out TikTok. And I guess they're going to do a vote tomorrow on whether Congress is House of Representatives are going to try to make TikTok illegal. Like, that's wild.
That should be very interesting.
And then if that happens, the YouTube is going to be the biggest benefit of that. I think all of all of my clients with TikTok accounts are gonna just move over there and do like short and long form. But honestly, I think for now, my short-term goals are just YouTube, just trying to just become better at making food videos and just kind of exploring just how things are being done differently outside of Vegas. That's what I look for inspiration.
And I'm glad you said that as far as like TikTok, right? Like I know Gary Vaynerchuk's big on, making transition and putting it on everything. Not just Instagram, not just TikTok. I mean, LinkedIn is very good organically, you know what I mean? But I'm glad you said that because it's powerful because a lot of people's business is going to shut down because of TikTok. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, if you think about 15 years ago, like all the big time stars on Vine,
all TikTok,
they didn't have any backup because they thought this was going to last forever. And I think a lot of TikTokers and people on Instagram, they need to diversify. That's the biggest thing. I mean, whether it's YouTube, I've been posting on Twitter for every day for the last 15 months.
Have you?
I'm trying to get following, Facebook, all that kind of stuff.
It's a lot of work. I feel your pain.
It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but I think it's necessary in order to stay relevant.
It is.
And I love that I have all these different avenues now because if, say, my post bombs on Instagram, then at least hopefully it will do better on TikTok or YouTube or something like that instead.
Well, it's powerful, man. Las Vegas Phil, man, it's an absolute pleasure to sit down with you, man. What's your social handles people can reach out to you at?
Sure, they can reach out to me at all the platforms at Las Vegas Phil, FILL. Okay. And I appreciate
follow this, man. I think you just hit 400,000 subscribers. I think
I did a 400K on IG.
Yeah, powerful,
pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, he's exploded, man. I love your content. I'm gonna continue to keep supporting you. And I appreciate you coming out and check us out at vegascircle.com. Subscribe with us, man. So appreciate your time, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was
Thank
powerful.
you guys.
Yeah.